And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, season 6 of Coach's Corner with the one, the only Coach Q, Paul Cusick, brought to you by NBC Heating and Cooling. It's time to talk some Crestview football, and nobody better to do it. Entering his 24th season at the helm, Coach Q. When you think about that, is it just a blur from seasons 1 to 24, or can you pick out like some of those coaches? Seasons and players and stuff like that from yesteryear?
Oh, you can definitely pick out some moments and some plays and players and coaches. There's no doubt about that. It's just amazing that it's been this long. So it's been a great ride. So hopefully we can keep it going this year.
What does it mean to be one of the most tenured coaches in this area that is known for football?
That's kind of odd because I can always remember myself as kind of the younger coach, and now I'm one of the older guys. So it's a unique experience. I do respect it, and I do appreciate any time a coach comes to me and asks me for advice or to look at this or look at that. So I do appreciate all of that, and I think we're always learning. So I always go to other coaches as well. But it is kind of a unique situation. I'm very thankful for it.
It's funny because you look like it could be your first year with all the weight loss and all the exercise you've been doing. What have you been doing this summer?
Just the same old, same old. I enjoy, still working out and going for walks and runs and staying active. So I always try and do that and try to set a good example for our players. But, just my wife keeps me healthy. She wants to make sure I'm eating right and doing what I need to do.
Well, that's always good. I mean, naturally, your lovely wife wants to keep you around for a while. That's always a good sign of a good marriage. So
that's true.
Let's talk about this season. An unbelievable 16 returners coming back that lettered last year, including 2 guys for you that could be 4-year lettermen when it's all said and done. Talk about this roster, what it's made up of, and why this year is going to be so special.
Well, I think having that experience coming back, is going to be key. Last year, 3 of our losses were by 1 score or less. So, we were right there in some games. We had, a small senior class last year, but, we got a lot of returners this year. And hopefully that equals into some wins and being competitive week in and week out. And the guys are working hard. So, we're ready to go.
So without a doubt, you return one of the best running backs in all of the area, and Rockland Batera. Talk to me about him, his leadership, how he's grown into not only the position of running back, but the position of leader of this team.
Well, I think more than anything, he's kind of an old school type player. He goes both ways. He led our team in rushing, led our team in tackles. He's just a tough kid that loves the game. Coach's kid. His dad's on my staff, and he knows the game. He plays hard. He does the things you need to do in the off season. I think the players respect how he performs. He leads by example, but he's not afraid to get vocal when he needs to be. He's just that old school guy that you really need to have on your team that kind of, kicks everyone in the butt when they need to.
So I'm interested because technically you have a first-year quarterback at the helm, but he's a senior and he's done some special things in Kirkland Miller, off the gridiron and certainly at Crestview. Talk to me about what you're expecting out of him this year.
Well, it's always tough when you have to replace a 3-year starter at quarterback. And, my son Anthony was a 3-year starter, had a great career there. Good thing with Kirkland, we were able to play him at receiver and some backup quarterbacks. So he did get the experience. He's had experience on the hardwood with basketball. So he does have the experience of playing at a varsity level and playing at a high level. We just need him to be who he is. We don't need him to be anybody else. We're going to work towards his strengths. Fortunately for him, we got a lot of returning in the backfield, not only with Rockland, but Dominic Yerke as well. So, we can lean on the run game and kind of support him as he grows into an experienced quarterback, because that just doesn't happen overnight. It takes game reps, and he's going to have to get those reps.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about Dominic Yerke. You've got Dom Yerke and you've got Bryce Blower that are potential guys that can be big-time threats, big splash play guys in the backfield for you when Rock's not in the lineup necessarily, or you can use them as a diversion. How nice is that as a coach to be able to have guys that have speed, power, and all of that combined?
Well, those guys are going to be key in the backup role, or for Dominic, he's a two-way starter as well. Bryce will come in, to spell those guys. Another guy that's kind of, I think, going to get on guys' radar is Jake Parker. He's going to be able to, run the ball as well. Jake will back up Rockland, and then Bryce will back up Dominic. And then you throw Max Hawkins in there, who's a sophomore. So we got a good staple of running backs that we can spell, Rockland or Dom, and make sure that we're fresh in the backfield. And those guys all run hard and they're good athletes. So we're going to lean on the run game and let Kirkland grow into an experienced quarterback.
What I enjoy is you have created a program that puts players in positions to win over and over again. I think I counted 17 times over the last 22 years. Since 2000, you guys have made the playoffs, which is incredible, and a stat that most people don't really understand or appreciate. But you're still going with the basic offensive spread. I mean, when you're looking at what you're doing it by tradition of the program. For people who go in and say, okay, we're going to play around these players and changing up the offense or the defense every year, what do you have to, I mean, what do you say about coaches like that kind of change with their players as opposed to making their players change within their program?
Well, everyone has their philosophy, and, so they got to do what they feel is best. And I think the thing that we've always done is we just do what we do. And, we try and fit our kids' talents within that. So we do tweak it year to year, but the concept of everything kind of stays the same, whether that's middle school, JV, or varsity. We're going to do what we do, and we're going to try and train our kids towards that. But we also, as coaches, have to be willing to tweak it and be able to adjust to them. And I think that's the key. Have your program, run what you do, whether it's offense, defense, special team, but you have to be willing to make some tweaks that are going to make your kids successful.
All right, so stop me if you've heard this before. This year's Crestview defense is going to be fast and aggressive. So what changes? I mean, that's been your calling card since you started the program at Crestview. I mean, how do you continue to keep these kids quick as a hiccup and obviously aggressive as all get out as well?
Well, I think that, before I got here, Crestview kids were always aggressive and always loved playing football. And we were able just to inherit that and try and build upon it. And so it's one thing that, our kids love to play football. They love to hit people. And, that's what we want to continue. So hopefully they continue to do that because, it's part of our tradition to be physical and, play fast. And, we have a great track program and a lot of our guys run track. And, so it goes hand in hand. We want to play fast, we want to be physical, and we want to execute. We say that every day at practice. And, when we're not playing fast at practice, sometimes, kicking the butt is a step forward, and that's what we have to do. But we want to make sure our guys are playing fast all the time.
All right. So I know you've go to these 7-on-7s. I know you've heard the rumblings and things of nature of the rosters are getting smaller. Kids aren't coming out for football, or they're not attending these schools, or the potential schools, and these small schools are getting smaller, but yet your numbers continue to sizzle. I mean, you continue to get kids out, year after year. How important is it for you to have conversations, or at least have programs like the Little Rebels to be, looking at and looking at these kids growing up and understanding what you're having from year to year on a class by class basis?
Oh, it is important. I mean, ironically, last year our numbers did take a dip, and I was concerned. And as coaches, we said, hey, we need to re-recruit our kids. And we did it at every level. And from Little Rebels all the way up, our numbers have increased, and I hope they keep going up. I think that, football is getting a bad rap with everything that's going on. And the bottom line is it is not an easy sport to play. It is tough, and you have to really, really be a special person to play football because it is different than other things. I'm not saying it's better or it's worse. It's just different. And it takes a special kind of athlete to want to go out there and grind it like you have to in football. It is not comfortable. Sometimes you're in a little bit of pain. Sometimes you're uncomfortable. Most of the time you're uncomfortable, but it is a special moment to walk out there on Friday night. And I wish that every kid could experience that. And we're going to keep working hard to keep our numbers up at all levels. And I think that's the key. And not only keep the numbers up, but you got to have a good experience at all levels and keep them out.
And I think you hit the nail on the head when you talk about uncomfortable moments, because I think that's when big things happen, right? When you're in uncomfortable moments, when you're down by a touchdown late in the game, how do you, I guess, manufacture uncomfortable moments in practice to kind of gain that advantage going into a Friday or a Thursday or Saturday night, whatever it may be?
Well, I think a lot of times, coaches get a bad rap because sometimes you have to express some tough love on your players. Not everything's going to be roses and hugs and kisses. Sometimes you do have to get on your players, and that's not comfortable. And you have to demand from them and get them to the point where it's unacceptable just to be mediocre. And you want to make them excel. And that happens in those uncomfortable moments. If somebody jumps off sides or screws up a blocking assignment or runs to the wrong hole, or it just isn't putting in the effort, you got to let them know. And sometimes you got to let them know louder than the other time. And that's an uncomfortable moment, but that's also a teaching moment. And our players need to respond to that adversity. And for the most part, they do. It's not fun to get your butt chewed, but sometimes, like I said, a kick in the butt is a step forward, and you got to get those moments across. And then you better be right there when they do it right. You better be patting them on the back and telling them they did a great job, or you're not going to get it done.
All right. One of the questions I've had for you for a long time, and forgive me if you've been asked this before, but I know you retired the number one in your locker room. Why is it that you guys retired the number one? I love this story. I just want to hear it from the guy who implemented it.
Well, from day one, that's always been my philosophy as a coach, that number one is the team, and there is no question about that. In our program, we've never allowed any player to wear number one. When I got here, I just took the jersey, put the name team on the back, and hung it up in the locker room, and it sits in a frame in our locker room, and that's it. For us, number one is the team, and everyone knows that. Every player sees it every single day when they come into the locker room, and it's just unspoken. They know that. No one's bigger than the team, and everybody says that, everybody believes that, and that's just one of the ways that we show it.
All right, last question for you. It's the one that leading into the 2022 season. What things that you need to accomplish to get your ultimate goal this year? What's the checklist look like?
Well, I think we need to be a little bit more physical up front. There were times last year when we struggled to run the football. So, we threw it around a lot last year, and we're not going to be able to do it as much this year. We want to be physical up front. And, we just want to be able to get back to some old school basic, pound the football and stay physical. And we take it, 1 week at a time like everybody else, and just focus on going 1-0.
Appreciate you as always. Looking forward to another 10+ weeks with you by my side here on Coach's Corner. Coach Q, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you next week.
Hey, appreciate it. Thanks.